complement each other in this situation and in all the working to ensure service delivery to the people.
Nafurahi national government ikiongozwa na Madam PS wameletea watu chakula, at least ishikilie kidogo kabla mvua haijaanza kabisa. Mvua iko karibu na ningeomba watu wakipata mbegu wapande.
In other news, about 15,000 families in 42 villages of Tana Delta sub-county of Tana River County are facing starvation after River Tana changed its course at Matomba Brook area, leaving the locals, who are majorly farmers and pastoralists, hopeless. Matomba Brook, according to the locals, was a major link of the river to villages in forwards, but since the river changed its course, life has never been the same. Let's take a look.
Toured the area during World Water Day celebrations on Wednesday with Governor Dado Godana, who chose to celebrate it differently by focusing on the plight of the villagers who are grappling with water scarcity. They visited the area which originally used to be the Matomba Brook and the exact point where the water seems to be struggling to get back to its route. Timson Maneno, a resident, said so far several residents have been rendered jobless as their main economic activities of farming cannot be done in the dry area since the river changed its course.
Huu mto hapa tulipowaleta hapa kwa hili keleza, mto wenyewe unatamani, unabisha, unagonga, unasukuma, unataka kurudi to its original course. Na ndio tunaomba serikali wasikie kilio chetu, ili huu mto hapa tupasue, wale wanaotumia zile dams huko juu zile kubwa kubwa at least wazirelease kidogo ili huu mto urudi nasi tupate nafuu.
The governor said the county government will dispatch an excavator to help in digging out the brook and redirect the river's course to a pond the residents had begun digging to provide them with water.
Kesho tunaleta excavator. Kunayo excavator iko hapa area ya Tarda ambayo tunataka ije kufanya kazi hapa.
Residents said restoring the river to its original form would facilitate their economic activities.
The gradient here is okay, lakini hapa if we can tuweza kupata msaada wa kama 300 meters 500 meters ifanywe dredging hapa mto urudi kawaida, it would be very good for the local people.
Joan Junge for Lunchtime News.
On education matters, needy students in various secondary schools and colleges in Isiolo County are set to benefit from bursaries worth 35 million shillings from the county government to enable them to continue with their studies after the prolonged drought situation in most parts of the county, which has claimed the lives of thousands of livestock, which is the main economic activity of the local pastoralist communities in the county. Let's have a look.
It is a sigh of relief to parents and students in Isiolo after the county government unveiled a 35 million shilling bursary kitty to help needy students in the county to continue with their studies.
We are in the process of sourcing an additional 65 million to go to the bursary kitty. This will bring the total amount of bursary to Kenya shillings 100 million that my administration will have to disperse to deserving students this year.
Speaking during the launch of the bursary program, Isiolo Governor Abdi Ibrahim Goyo noted that due to high poverty levels and other factors such as prolonged drought in the county, many students drop out of school.
My government has in recent past, in partnership with Direct Aid and Malaysia Edu, secured scholarship for 70 of our youth to travel abroad to study medicine, engineering, and other STEM courses.
In addressing hunger in schools, Guyo noted that his government has partnered with the Institute for Human Development to ensure school-going children get food.
My government has in past few weeks worked with partnership with the Institute for Human Development at Dakar University to formulate Isiolo Early Childhood Development and Education Meal Policy. It is my desire that Once we complete the policy, will help us ensure enhanced access, retention, and transition in ECD sector through meal provision for our learners.
On his part, the chairman of Isiolo Parent Association, Hassan Galama, said the bursary kitty has a great impact on the lives of individuals in the society and helps to reduce the financial burden on parents.
Inaenda direct kwa wale mzazi na inafika kwa shule, na hiyo ndio faida ambayo wazazi wanataka. Ni kweli au ni uongo? Hiyo ndio iko na impact kwa wananchi. Bursary iko na impact kubwa sana kwa wananchi, inasaidia na inapunguza burden kwa mzazi.
Beneficiaries of this program are expected to form the much needed human resource capital needed in the county. For Lunchtime News, I'm Abdulaziz Abeid.
And I cross over to Kisii County, where President William Ruto is set to commence a 3-day visit to the South Nyanza counties in Kisii, Nyamira and Migori counties. During the 3-day visit, President Ruto is expected to launch several projects. He is expected to commission upgrading of 33.3 kilometers Gikano, Rigoma, Ambuko, Nyamo, Hanse, Kumu, Mwamu, Nyaburu, Oboke, Ragwe roads and commission Kegati water project. At the same time, he is expected to hold meetings with leaders from the region. Now we shall be linking up with our reporter Simon Achola for a detailed report at the Kisii National Polytechnic. Achola, kindly bring us to speed.
Well, thank you very much, Jackie Wambiru. Indeed, we are in Kisii County, specifically at Kisii Polytechnic, where we are awaiting the arrival of President William Ruto, who is expected here shortly. We are told that in the next few minutes he'll be landing at Gusii Stadium. Thereafter, head straight to the governor's office, where he's supposed to meet a number of leaders from elected leaders and local leaders from this region. And then thereafter, he will be proceeding to Kisii Polytechnic, where he is expected to commission a modern laboratory here before he heads all the way to Kegati water supply, which is a number of the projects that he is expected actually to commission today before, of course, before, of course, calling it a day. According to the program that we actually given today, he was expected at Kegati water supply project. That is about 10 a.m. Of course, already it's 11, so he is expected to be landing anytime from now. Now, Kegati water project is one of the projects that is amongst the Vision 2030 flagship projects, and is expected to increase the production and supply of water in Kisii and Nyamira counties from just a paltry 6 million cubic meters per day to about 27 million cubic meters per day. And of course, that project has been on for I think at least 2 or so years. It was actually commissioned in 2017, and there's been a number of expansion works going on that particular project. And of course, after the completion of that project, the issue of water shortages and scarcity in this particular county will be a thing over the past. And then, of course, from there, he is expected to go for Sironga housing project. Remember, this is a pet project that President William Ruto has actually been talking about, not just because of provision of houses, but also the economic impact is going to have on those or where those houses will be domiciled. And he's continuously said that this will go a long way in terms of ensuring that it creates employment for the youth and skilled laborers in their respective areas. And then, of course, from there, we'll be commissioning the Gekano Rikoma Amabuko Road, which is in Nyamira County. Before, of course, he has a dinner later on in the day with members of parliament members of parliament, and of course, the bicameral parliament from this region. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll be heading in Nyamira County. That is on Friday. And then, of course, the first project will be that of commissioning of Gamba Kegogi Road. And then thereafter, he'll be heading for the homecoming Thanksgiving ceremony of Honorable Mochogu. And then thereafter, he'll be meeting leaders. Of course, this is a continuation of his efforts in terms of ensuring that he actually reached out to both both elected and non-elected leaders, so that then, of course, what he's been saying over and again in terms of ensuring that he unites the country, even as he pushes his development agenda. On Saturday, Jackie Wambiru, the president, is expected in Migori County, and more specifically in Kuria part of Migori County, where he is expected to grace in Kuria West, where he's expected to grace Mote, Baru, Suba, Kuria, Nyagonga, Nyankobe, and Getonga Masaba Road. And then, of course, thereafter, he'll in Kuria East, he will also be in Ntimaru, Nyamatiro, and then, of course, one-stop border point amongst other areas that he's expected to actually visit in that particular area. Of course, this is a continuation of what he's been doing across the country. But Jackie, it will be interesting to actually see how, of course, he'll be reaching out reaching out to leaders in this particular county. Remember, the leader of Kisii County is an ODM or an Azimio affiliated governor. And as we speak right now, we understand that when he lands at the Gusii Stadium, he will be heading straight to the governor's office, where he is expected actually to meet the governor and, of course, a host of other leaders. We also know for a fact that the relationship between the former Interior CS has not been very cordial. However, there's been effort in terms of ensuring that the CS joins the bandwagon of actually supporting the government, and we'll be watching keenly to see if indeed he'll be attending this particular function of education CS Mochogu tomorrow, or what exactly will be happening. So those are some of the issues, of course, we'll be casting our eyes on, just to get to understand what will be happening in this region, because, of course, before we file our stories in our subsequent bulletin. Back to Jackie Wambiru.
Well, that was our reporter, Achola Simon, giving us a detailed report of what is expected ahead of the 3-day visit to the South Nyanza counties of President William Ruto. We shall be keeping you updated in our subsequent bulletins. For now, we move on. Samburu County leaders, led by Governor Lati Lelit, have appealed to the national government and aid agencies to offer relief food and decent shelter for more than 300 families that are currently living at Loi Bongare camp. The families that led their homes for safety due to incessant bandit attacks say they are living in deplorable conditions at the camp, and there are fears of outbreak of diseases due to poor sanitation.
This is the situation at Loi Bongare IDP camp. It is now a home to more than 300 families that fled their homes for safety following increased cases of bandit attacks in Samburu County. The IDPs have lamented over poor living conditions in this camp.
Hakuna chakula ya kukula. Ni maji tu tukukunywa maji peke yake. Tuna shida mingi. Hatuna hata kitu ya kukula. Moto tunakaa kwa hii moto, hakuna chakula. Tunaomba serikali atusaidie kwa chakula na msaada yetu. Hata hakuna mabrangeti, hakuna kitu, tunalala tu chini. Hakuna kitu tunalala tu kwa magunia.
With the onset of the rains, the living conditions are deteriorating by the day.
Naenda tukutoroka. Mvua anakuja, sasa hakuna kitu. Iko shida mingi. Serikali, naomba serikali turudishe sisi kwetu, kwa sababu hakuna kila kitu. Nakaa tu bila nguo, bila karampeti, bila karatasi. Sisi niko shida kabisa.
The residents have expressed their concern over the fate of their children's education.
Hata sasa hivi watoto wetu hawaendi shule kwa sababu maisha imekuwa ngumu. Hatuna bali tunaishi, hata imekuwa ngumu watoto kuenda shule kwa sababu hata wapokota wanalala kwa mwambito.
Speaking after a visit in the camp, area leaders appealed to the national government and aid agencies to offer relief food and a decent shelter to the affected family.
Na tungeona zaidi Waziri Kindiki ama ile special program wangekuja hapa kwanza kuletea watu hema, kwa sababu inanyesha. kuja kuletea watu chakula kwa sababu hawana. Wangeletea watu dawa kwa sababu mahali tunasimama sasa ni mahali baridi sana na watoto wataumia na watu wazima ama wazee wataumia.
One of the things that you should be doing now ni kupea watu hema ya kuishi hapa. Sisi tunajaribu kusaidia chakula, tunaomba pia nyinyi msaidie chakula.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Sheila Kayaro Yogo.
In other news, as the world marked World Water Day Wednesday, a section of residents from Busia County raised concern over water scarcity in the region despite the county being in close proximity to water sources. They are calling upon the county government to intervene and put in place proper mechanisms to address the matter.
22nd of March each year is a day set aside to raise awareness about the global water crisis and the need to sustainably manage fresh water resources. In Busia, residents decried the shortage of the precious commodity, lamenting that despite having many rivers and springs and the county's close proximity to Lake Victoria, they still face challenges in accessing clean water in their homes.
Ukifika Busia, muangalie kila mulemavu mwenye ako na boma lake, tafadhali mumupee maji.
Tukiwa na dry season, watu wote eneo hili la Funyula wanakimbilia hizo protected springs kwenda kuchota maji.
They now want the county government to intervene through rehabilitation of water catchment areas and completing stalled water projects.
Maneno ya eucalyptus tuna drain the wetland na ndio store ya maji. Nipesa nahimiza tupande water friendly trees for wetland.
This comes amidst a pledge by the county government working around the clock to address the matter.
Kuitengeza vizuri, storage yake ikuwe sawa, pipe ya kupeleka maji kutoka kwa lake kwenda huko ilikuwa ndogo, tunaongeza ili iweze kuwa na maji zaidi.
Kwa hivyo we are really touched na tutatia bidii kama county kuhakikisha tumefupisha the distance.
Elsewhere, as Migori County joined the rest of the country in marking World Water Day, Migori County government pledged to rehabilitate stalled water projects in a bid to increase access to clean water in the region, including rural areas.
We have majorly focused on maintenance and rehabilitation of water projects, and we are also looking into completing unfinished boreholes in terms of equipping.
We must protect our water sources. We must ensure that we don't cut trees. We don't pollute rivers and lakes.
Speaking at Sori in Nyantike, County Deputy Governor Dr. Joseph Mahiri Gumunta stated that the county has set aside resources towards the cause.
We are working with the USAID Western Water project to increase the water distribution to the household.
Opicho Chemtai for Lunchtime News.
Liquor traders in Embakasi Sub-County are urging Nairobi County Government to implement the affordable single business permit that was promised by Governor Johnson Sakaja during the campaigns. On his part, the Nairobi Liquor Board Director Rhoda Otieno urged liquor traders not to misuse the licenses and promising to also open the first county rehabilitation center in Nairobi.
Serikali kuja na njia yenye inaweza fanya licensing zikuwa affordable kwa kila mfanyabiashara. Njia moja sisi tunaomba iweze ikuwe kama inawekwa kwa malipo ya polepole. Let's say licensing inaweza kuwa inalipwa polepole until ifike mwisho wa mwaka. Unaona? In that way utapata watu wengi sana wameweza kufikia ile license.
The issues that you're raising about the whole aspect of control of alcohol matters and drug abuse ndio inafanya gavana wa Nairobi Mheshimiwa Sakaja anafanya all these changes so that we can take a more different approach that will be sustainable and will be effective in managing our issues.
Over to Continental House, where the Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library is holding a meeting with the Chief Executive Officers, NGCDF, and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund to deliberate on strategies for showcasing projects undertaken by the two institutions and their impact on Kenyans. Now, we shall be linking up with our reporter Gladys Mungai for a detailed report. Gladys, kindly bring us to speed.
Good afternoon to you, Jackie. Like you rightly put it, we're coming to you live from Parliament buildings, where the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Matters Broadcasting has just climaxed a meeting with the National Government Constituency Development Funds Board, the National Assembly, basically speaking to the deliberations being delved about matters to do with CDF and how projects to do with CDF can be demystified, so that we demystify the notion that the CDF projects are not for members of parliament really, but are there for the members of the public. I'm now quickly joined by the chair of the committee to tell us more about the deliberations, the gaps that have been identified, and way forward to go around these particular projects. Welcome so much, Chair. We are live on KBC Channel 1. Kindly tell our viewers about the deliberations, the gaps probably you've identified with the board, and how to move forward to ensure that those particular gaps are catered for.
Thank you, Gladys. Daniel Nanok is my name, the chair of the Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library Committee of the National Assembly. We had actually invited the CEO, National Government CDF, and his team, basically to discuss with them on ways of collaborating and partnering with them on issues of profiling and broadcasting about NGCDF nationally, as well as partnering with Parliament in terms of actualizing the 24-hour TV and radio channels for Bunge and the Senate TV. So that is the deliberation that we undertook with them, realizing that NGCDF has a lot of content dealing with the 290 constituencies, funding projects on national functions like education, security, and that is spread across the country. So we were deliberating with them on ways to partner, and create strategies, a framework, a working framework, where we can do a collaborative engagement with NGCDF, being content creators for the intended 24-hour Bunge TV, Senate TV. That is exactly what we were discussing. And we have seen that there are lots of areas that we can collaborate on. Our secretariats are going to sit together and look at the modalities and the framework under which we can work. As a government department, NGCDF does a lot in terms of development of our constituencies using the NGCDF funds. And the Member of Parliament is a critical player in the structure of NGCDF as an oversighting authority. So members of Parliament in their constituencies will oversight the funds, the way the funds are being utilized, and educating the public and the community about the role of CDF and the role of the Member of Parliament in CDF. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there that CDF is the Member of Parliament, when actually the Member of Parliament does one cardinal function in CDF, oversighting CDF, which is one of our three major constitutional functions. We oversight, we legislate or make laws, and we represent people. So our interest with CDF is all about representing our constituents. It is all about seeing that government does what it promises to do for the people in the constituencies. So that is the discussion we've had with NGCDF CEO and his team, and it was a very fruitful discussion. Going forward, we've seen that we can move together. NGCDF has a lot of information to share with the public, and that is where the broadcasting committee comes in, when we have our 24-hour TV channel, Bunge TV, Senate TV, this is where the education, as it would be required, shall be available to the public. Factual information, truthful information, and not any information that is got out there which is sometimes misleading, which is sometimes leading to wrong misconceptions about CDF, about the Member of Parliament, and how the national government is serving the people of the constituencies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it, Jackie, the chair, Honorable Nanoka, saying that the ultimate goal is to streamline matters communication in regards to the projects of NGCDF at the ground, and to ensure that members of the public are well educated in regards to probably the role of members of parliament and their role in ensuring that they identify the missing gaps to ensure that the projects that are being rolled out in the coming years address such gaps. I'll now hand it over to you so you can follow up or probably broadcast more information to our viewers in regards to other news that we have prepared for them. Back to you, Jackie.
By shedding light on deliberations of projects undertaken by NGCDF and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund and their impact on Kenyans. Well, on that note, we'll take a short break here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more news coming up.
He used to say that that was the happiest day of his life. That hiyo siku, he found a friend and a brother.
Kuna kitu nimekuwa nikitaka kukuambia for a while.
Tutasimama tisti kwa ajili ya dunia yetu, familia zetu na marafiki wetu, sio?
To get Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 as your skiza tune, dial star 811 star 967 hash.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 to 6.
To get Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5, dial star 811 star 967 hash. Star 811 star 967 hash.
Welcome back. And now on matters health, Kilifi County government has been urged to embark on a plan to identify people with disabilities with a special focus on those with Down syndrome. Caregivers of persons with disabilities say this will enable patients to access the treatment they direly need.
Caregivers of persons with disabilities in Kilifi County have started door-to-door campaigns in a bid to register people with disabilities who were left out.
Ili kwamba tufikie huduma, ili kwamba tukaweze kutambulikana rasmi kama watu wenye uatilifu, basi inalazimika kwamba tuweze kuwaandikisha ama watu wenye uatilifu wakaandikishwe ili wapate ule urasimi kwamba wao ni watu wenye uatilifu.
Led by Ms. Fatma Ngoto, the group said that many parents seeking medical services for their children were undergoing many challenges, among them the cost of treatment, urging the government to facilitate free treatment.
Na Mombasa peke yake tuko wamama 65. Na hii namba ya 65 haimaanishi eti hao ndio wamama wako peke yake. Wako wamama wengi, lakini bado kasumba za kuwa watoto wenye hali ya Down syndrome ni walemavu, hawafai kutolewa, hawajaaminia kutoa mtoto wao waonekane na yeye. ndio maana wamejificha ficha. Lakini mkijitoa, mkijiregister kwa vyama kama hivi, tutasonga mbele.
Kilifi County Referral Hospital Primary Healthcare Coordinator noted that 120 children suffering from Down syndrome had been enrolled in schools, while 70 were being attended to in various hospitals.
Ningependa kuhamasisha jamii tusiogope. Down syndrome kusema kweli ni ugonjwa kweli ambao mtoto anakuwa na delayed milestones. Pia vitu vyake vingi vinachelewa, lakini sio mwisho wa maisha ya huyo mtoto, na hawa watoto wanaishi vizuri tu mradi tu wapate ile fursa ya kuweza kupewa nafasi ya kuishi vizuri.
Kilifi Deputy Governor Flora Chibule warned that action will be taken against those taking advantage of people with disabilities.
Tuwe very vigilant. Tuhakikishe hatutaki watu wa take advantage ya watoto kama hawa. Wao wako vulnerable. Wewe ndio caregiver kwa mfano. Wale wasichana wamepachika mimba. Wale pale nyumbani wanajua wako salama. Lakini saa zingine hapo nyumbani si salama. Na tutaki kusikia hao watoto ambao wako katika hayo mashule nije kupata habari ya kwamba mmoja wao ameshika mimba. Jamani. Siwende kwa example.
Trevor Nyando for Lunchtime News.
And away from health matters, we focus on cinemas and theatres, where we take a look at the staging of a play based on the Kiswahili set book Chozi la Heri by the Jicho 4 Productions. Our reporter Wangari Washuri attended the performance at the Sarakasi Dome in Nairobi Ngara's area and filed the following report.
This is a day many students look forward to. One, because it breaks the monotony of being taught in a classroom.
Unajua ukitaka kupass these set books lazima uone ndio upass vizuri. So hii performance hapa liko vizuri. I think itatusaidia kwa the exam that is in the corner.
Two, the imagination of characters they read in the set books is brought to life. And three, it is a fun day. For the actors and actresses, it is another day on stage, perform and make a living. But despite repeating this ritual every other day, year in, year out, one thing remains constant: the feeling of being on stage.
It's a good feeling.
It's the best feeling.
Chozi la Heri is a Swahili novel written by Assumpta K. Matei and is staged by the Jicho 4 Productions. It is a compulsory Fasihi set book for secondary schools. The book is about how tribalism and greediness to acquire power and riches ruins the normal livelihoods and social developments. The novel has 10 chapters with Ridha as the main character.
Ridha ni amekaa ni mtu amekoma kimiaka, so directing a young person to be or to fit in the shoes of that character. What we usually do is we do and work a lot with makeup.
Ridha encounters various problems that impact his life. First, when in school he is segregated. As a doctor, he faces many issues related to corruption, like selling of hospital drugs to private vendors.
Directing him, we took, I actually took around 4 or 5 weeks for him to understand that role. After him understanding the role and what is expected of him, now we start. For you to get to really understand a character, you must first of all live and be. Start living and be that character.
Staging these and other books is what puts food on the table for the over 200 production groups in the country. But what does the future look like with the introduction of the competence-based curriculum?
The set book up there, it will not be compulsory for all the students, unlike now.
we will only have a section of students taking particular subject doing the set books, and therefore with that it will be adversely affected. But that will come in about 3 years or so from now.
For members of the cast, their joy is to see the audience take home a better understanding of the book after watching the performance.
When the students come to watch the set books, they believe that we are teachers. So I carry myself as a teacher.
We always try as much as possible to portray whatever the writer wanted to bring out.
Well, as they say, the stage is the only place you can be born on the same day, live on the same day, be any person you want to be on the same day, and die on the same day. For cinema and theaters, I'm Wangare Washuri.
Let's talk business. The Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization has developed forage species and supplementary blocks to help herders to improve their productivity in the face of depressed rains and frequent drought. The new forage varieties are adaptable to low precipitation and high temperatures.
Supplements are high in energy, protein and vitamins as they are processed from cereal bran, urea, vitamins and molasses. Researchers say that there is a need to increase forage crop diversity and reseeding by introducing locally adapted high-value pasture grasses.
Some of the forages may not do extremely well. The others that are a bit more resilient. And these are the forages that you are trying to promote and showcase during this open day.
Farmers who have since benefited from the supplements have lauded the move, saying they are now able to assess their farm operations and implement the adaptation measures that suit their farms.
First advantage, the growth rate. So these dairy goats, their growth rate is a bit higher than the common breeds. Then production of milk, it's more higher than the common breeds.
In terms of management, with records you're able to make better decisions, referring to the records and not guessing or doing guesstimates.
Additionally, researchers are now training farmers on how to utilize the new technologies to help improve efficiency and deepen the drive towards sustainable farming practices.
We're also exposing farmers to forage combinations that is going to supply not only energy that is required, but also protein in sufficient quantities to support maintenance requirements and also for production of bulk in our cattle.
Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
Did you know that you can use the black soldier fly to supplement animal feeds? A farmer in Kakamega says she opted for black soldier fly to reduce animal feed costs for her cows, fish and poultry. Here is Andrew Carroll with the details.
According to Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, animal feed accounts for about 60% of the total cost of production, as the research organization moves to develop low-cost animal feed using locally available material. Ann Nabutala, based in Lurambi, Kakamega County, has embraced black soldier fly farming to specifically feed her livestock.
Sababu ya kuanzisha BSF hii mradi ni moja, ni chakula imepanda bei, na BSF ni source of protein ambayo ita reduce costs. Ukitumia BSF utakuwa umepunguza gharama in a way that ni source of protein, high protein, na ukilisha kuku growth rate inakuwa juu, na utapata by the time kuku inakoma umetumia chakula ya duka kiasi.
After getting tips from other farmers, Anne was among farmers selected to be trained by Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization on keeping the worms. Apart from feeding our livestock, the worms consume wastes as their food, while the broken down waste materials are reused as fertilizer on the farm.
Given the fact that hata mbolea imefanya nini? Imepanda bei sana. So tuna embrace hii mradi sababu ya its benefits. ni green. We call it green what? Green energy. You use it, ukitoa takataka inatoa wadudu wanachukua chakula inatoa kinyesi inaenda kwa shamba.
Black soldier flies are a source of protein and are normally used as one of the ingredients in animal feed formulation.
Utaenda kwa duka kununua vitu kama ochonga, omena ambayo iko bei ghali na protein content iko chini. So tuna prefer hii, inatumia takataka, ile takataka ungetupa nyumbani.
Nabutala is one of the farmers whose farm was considered in a data collection exercise through the Insects for Food and Feed Flygene project. Abigail Luna from the University of Nairobi alongside Nabutala are now teaching community members during a field day at the Bukura Agricultural and Training Center.
The reason we encourage farmers to take up such innovations is that the food right now is very expensive, especially for poultry, and this is a very sustainable and cheap way of getting protein for your chicken. So we want to see if we can get the best strain, the best eggs for the farmers that for the flies that can survive in different areas of the country. So we had come to collect data on the farmers who are doing it and train farmers who have not started it yet.
The 5-year project seeks to use selective breeding for sustainable and streamlined insect breeding for livestock. Andrew Kero for Lunchtime News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the benchmark lending rate from 17.5% to 18%. The banking regulator has been raising the benchmark lending rate from a low of 11.5% to the current level of 18%. Here are these and other stories making headlines in Africa.
The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee is waging a war against inflation, which stands at 21.91% against 17.35% when the banking regulator started tightening the monetary environment. The Central Bank of Nigeria's governor believes that relaxing the interest rate will erode the gains the Apex Bank has achieved, despite no signs of Central Bank of Nigeria reining in inflation. The Monetary Policy Committee calls on the Central Bank of Nigeria's management to strengthen its regulatory oversight on the banking system to ensure that the industry remains stable and resilient. Elsewhere, foreign direct investment from the United Kingdom to Malawi has declined over the last 3 years. The UK's Department for International Trade data indicates that in 2019, foreign direct investments to Malawi stood at £66 million before declining to £61 million in 2020 and then £57 million in 2021. The cost of doing businesses has dampened the investment landscape. Economic statistician says constant power cuts, high cost of capital, unreliable transport systems, and corrupt practices affects investments. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development has indicated the outlook for foreign direct investments in Malawi remains weak. Finally, Uganda's coffee exports surged 6% in February from the same period a year earlier, as higher prices pushed traders to release larger volumes of stocks from their warehouses. The Uganda Coffee Development Authority says the country shipped a total of 478,646 60-kilogram bags of beans in February, mainly driven by exporters who offloaded coffee from their warehouses as the global Robusta market started correcting upwards. Uganda is Africa's largest coffee exporter, followed by Ethiopia, and mainly cultivates the Robusta variety. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Taneto Chola.
The U.S. Central Bank has raised interest rates again despite fears that the move could add to financial turmoil after a string of bank failures. The U.S. Federal Reserve increased its key rate by 0.25 percentage points, calling the banking system sound and resilient. Here are the details of these and other stories making headlines across the globe.
The U.S. Federal Reserve has been raising borrowing costs
hikes in a bid to stabilize prices. But the sharp increase in interest rates since last year has led to strains in the banking system. 2 U.S. banks comprising Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank collapsed this month, buckling in part due to problems caused by higher interest rates. This lifts its key interest rate from 7.5% to 5%, up from near zero a year ago, the highest level since 2007. U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said the Fed remained focused on its inflation fight. He described Silicon Valley Bank as an outlier in an otherwise strong financial system. But he acknowledged that the recent turmoil was likely to drag on growth, with the full impact still unclear. Elsewhere, embattled Chinese property giant Evergrande has announced plans of restructuring around $20 billion in offshore debt, which could be seen as a model for other struggling developers. The firm said the measures will help efforts to resume operations and resolve issues on shore. The firm added that it will use its best endeavors to restore a healthy ecosystem of capital and business, to repair its capital structure and stabilize its business operation. The firm added that it will use its best endeavors to restore a healthy ecosystem of capital and business, to repair its capital structure and stabilize its business operations. Finally, TikTok US future is at stake as its CEO, Shuzi Chui, will appear before the US Congress for the first time. Chui is likely to face a barrage of questions on TikTok's relationship with China, what data it collects and what it does with it. TikTok holds reams of data about its users, including location, information and biometric data. However, TikTok has argued that it will never hand over user information.
And now in the sports arena, Tottenham Hotspurs and England striker Harry Kane will be looking to break Wayne Rooney's goal-scoring record when England takes on Italy tonight in the Euro 2024 qualifiers match at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. Meanwhile, Portugal will host Liechtenstein. Denmark take on Finland. Let's take a look.
Itself missed out on the qualification for the World Cup after winning Euro 2020. Meanwhile, Portugal and Liechtenstein begin their Euro 2024 qualification campaigns when they meet in Lisbon on Thursday. Both nations are under new management, looking to improve on their respective disappointments in the recent months. Cristiano Ronaldo has been named in the Portugal squad despite his move to Al Nassr at the start of the year. With a record 118 international goals already to his name, Ronaldo will hope to be on the pitch to add on his tally. Pepe was initially named in the squad, but the Porto defender had since been ruled out with the injury which saw him miss his club side's Champions League second leg with Inter Milan last week. For Lunchtime News, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Thank you for choosing Lunchtime News. For more news, check out our website at kbc.co.ke. My name is Jackie Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Brian Moraro. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Allah anatuambia ndani ya kitabu chake kitukufu, enyi ambao mlioamini nimewafaradhishieni funga
Yani enyi mlioamini, funga ya Ramadhan imefaradhishwa juu yenu kama ilivyofaradhishwa katika wale ambao waliwatangulia, ili muweze kumcha Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
I will never let go. I will never let you.
Nini huko shule saa hizi?
Basi nilofukuzwa na mama mmoja wa huko.
Unaniambia sababu naitisha kuku mara 3 kwa saa nyingine kwa wiki, kwa mwezi. So it is us parents who are feeding you. See?
No, you're not feeding us. We are helping your kids to know how to cook.
Senior chief. Kuka. Kanchi.
Kwa shule inaenda wapi?
Hiyo kuku akikuja kwa shuleni, mwalimu anachukua ile kuku mtoto. Inashinda, inasomesha mtoto.
Hata kucha tunatengenezanga nazo necklace.
Hayo yote mnachukua.
Kucha za kuku. Na manyoya pia tunatengenezanga nayo pilo.
Kuna bilibili hapa ni wewe amechapa mwalimu sababu ya kutuma mtoto wako jumbani.
Ambiwa walete ng'ombe mheshimiwa. Itakuwa ni mzuri.
Watoto waambiwa walete ng'ombe.
Vitu kuku mheshimiwa.
My name is Stege, Lukas Stege, and you know me as the almost fearless DW travel reporter. And today I'm in the German Spy Museum, well, among other places, because this time I'm on a special mission for you.
Tut mir leid. Sorry. Ich bin fast verletzt. Ist ein Billigschirm.
Cheap umbrella. It's wet, grey and cold. Typical winter weather in Berlin. What's there to do at this time of year? Today I have a few cool and hot tips for you. Head to the tropics. Get a sense of spring in the Botanical Gardens. Turn up the heat. I'm going to try a red-hot version of a traditional snack. And extreme chill out. Even the glasses in the Berlin Ice Bar are frozen. I'm in Berlin, as you've probably noticed. And I'm checking out the newest viewing terrace in the German capital. It's on the roof of the Humboldt Forum in the Mitte district. It's a great location for taking in the sights of the city. Weather conditions aren't so ideal today, but we're making the best of it.
Berlin is actually always worth a trip. Well, and the advantage in winter, the city is relatively empty. So now you can see many of the attractions that are overrun by tourists in the summer at your leisure. For example, the Humboldt Forum.
Or should I say the Berlin Palace? It was severely damaged in World War II, later blown up and only recently rebuilt. Most of the facades have been rebuilt true to the original. But on this side, the building is more 21st century. The new Old Palace opened in 2021. It was named after two brothers from Berlin, the scientists Alexander and Wilhelm von Humboldt. Inside, it looks contemporary. The Humboldt Forum is a modern museum building with a variety of exhibitions. A little tip for you, admission to the Humboldt Forum and most exhibitions is free. You can get your ticket online or at the counter on arrival. I'm going to start my tour in the palace cellar. Here you can still see the old wooden foundation piles that used to support the building. They've since been replaced by concrete versions. These are the old castle foundations. Its origins date back to the 13th century. First, it was a monastery, later, a palace. It's been part of Berlin's cityscape for centuries, but its reconstruction has been the subject of much controversy.
On September 7th, 1950, the war-ravaged Berlin Palace was demolished on orders of East Germany's communist rulers. It didn't fit with communist ideology. For over 2 centuries, it had served as the official residence of Prussian kings and German emperors. Now the landmark building in Berlin's center was history. In its place, the communist authorities built the Palace of the Republic. It housed the East German parliament and was a center for arts and culture. All that came to an end with German reunification in 1990. The building was immediately closed as it contained large amounts of asbestos. A debate began over how to redesign the area. Some fought to keep the Palace of the Republic. Others wanted to see the old Prussian residence rebuilt, even erecting a tarpaulin depicting a full-scale painting of the building in the summer of 1993. A possible third option of building something completely different was dismissed from the start. On July 4th, 2002, the German parliament voted in favor of rebuilding the old Berlin Palace. The communist Palace of the Republic was torn down, and architects were invited to submit their ideas for the new building. The design put forward by Italian architect Franco Stella was chosen. The outward appearance stuck closely to the Baroque original, but the facade on the eastern side was a modern building. In June 2012, the work finally got underway. The federal government contributed 590 million euros. A further 100 million euros for reconstructing the Baroque facades was raised through donations. 9 years later, it was complete. In the summer of 2021, the Humboldt Forum opened to visitors from all over the world.
The Humboldt Forum has many exhibitions. I've chosen to visit the Ethnological Museum. It has artifacts from Africa, from the South Seas, from South America. They are the source of a lot of controversy and have hit the headlines repeatedly, because many objects come from former German colonies. So the question is, did they come to Berlin lawfully, or were they stolen by the colonizers? If stolen, don't they have to be returned? One prominent example is a sailing vessel from the island of Louf in Papua New Guinea. It is the last of its kind. How do you build such a boat? The knowledge was lost with the people who became victims of violence perpetrated by German colonialists in 1882. I have a few questions for the museum's director. How do you deal with the objects that were not acquired legally? Do they stay here or do they get sent back?
If we discover through our research that an exhibit was taken illegally, we approach our partners, either through national embassies or through local museums in the other country, to ask how we can proceed together.
How many objects here are stolen? How many are not?
We can't say yet, because in many areas that joint research is still ongoing. But everything that left the original countries under colonialism is now obviously subject to more intense research. But not everything from the colonial era was necessarily stolen. Even at that time, there were instances where items were voluntarily transferred, sold, or gifted. Although, of course, all that happened against the backdrop of certain power structures.
So, if it turns out that most of the exhibits were stolen, might the museum gradually empty out over time?
No, I don't think that will happen. We have a huge collection, around 500,000 artifacts, and that's not including intangible cultural assets. You're only seeing 2 to 3% of the collection. This is a research institute, and with some of the artifacts, even though we're transferring ownership, we still need to keep them here so we can research them together. So not everything is being returned completely. And that's not the focus of discussion right now.
What about high-profile artifacts like the boat? We know that was taken illegally. What will happen there?
We established contact both with the descendants of the original owners and with the government of Papua New Guinea. The government said it's proud to have the boat here, as a display of its national culture. The community says it wants to recover the expertise. They asked for an invitation to Berlin so they can study it and build boats like that again. As you can see, the response varies greatly.
So visitors are coming soon?
Absolutely. We're planning to have partners come from Manus, from the Luf community, which will lead to boat building projects there. And we hope we can be there when the boat is reconstructed.
The ethnological collection is just one of a total of 6 exhibitions in the Humboldt Forum. So if you want, you can spend several hours or even days here.
I continue my tour on an e-scooter. I can't be bothered to walk in this weather. I'm riding along the Unter den Linden Boulevard to the Brandenburg Gate. Then I turn left and I'm at Potsdamer Platz. These sections of the Berlin Wall serve as a reminder of the decades of German division and the Cold War. Just around the corner is the German Spy Museum. Wanna be James Bond for a day? In this museum, you can. You can learn all sorts of things about agents and spies in the movies and in real life. Florian Schimikowski shows me some of the most exciting exhibits here.
This is one of the most famous chapters in the history of espionage. We have 2 of the famous Enigma machines, used by the Germans to encode messages. The British managed to break the code during the Second World War, which historians believe shortened the war by 3 to 4 years.
After the Second World War came the Cold War, a heyday for secret agents. Here you'll find a recreated version of the Glienicke Bridge between Berlin and Potsdam. The Soviets and the Americans used the bridge repeatedly to exchange spies they had captured. But espionage is not just a male domain.
There were always more female agents than the movies suggest. The secret police in communist East Germany actually developed a bra camera. The lens was placed here, and the remote trigger was concealed in a pocket, so you could photograph the handover of secret documents, for example.
I also found out that most spies don't drive Lamborghinis, but more ordinary cars. This Trabi could take photos using built-in infrared technology, made in East Germany. Why is the Spy Museum here in Berlin? Wouldn't London be more fitting because of James Bond and others?
Berlin is the capital of spies. That began during the Cold War, when West Berlin, surrounded by 160 kilometers of wall, was in a unique position, a Western enclave right next to the Soviet bloc, perfect for spying. So a lot of secret agents were active here. But Berlin is still one of the spying capitals today. Germany is very important internationally. The German intelligence agency is now back in Berlin. We have 160 embassies here too. So there's a lot of agent activity going on here. At least as much as in London, but probably more.
Where do all the objects on display here come from?
Die finden wir auf Auktionen.
We find them at auctions. We get them from collectors and former spies and agents. When the East German secret police disbanded, some took devices with them. It was all very chaotic. So now we get calls saying they've got this or that in the cellar, and would we be interested? We also work with the foreign and domestic intelligence services today. They look through their inventory to see what they can release. None of the new technology. Just stuff that's outdated.
Die geben uns keine neue Technik, sondern das natürlich, was veraltet ist.
At the end, another challenge awaits me. The laser maze. I'm not allowed to touch any of the laser beams, and I only have 2 minutes to cross the room.
Oh, it's like a limbo dance.
I was almost there.
I can't quite compete with James Bond, but it was fun.
Huko shule saa hizi
basi nilifukuzwa na mabodi wa huko.
Unaniambia sababu naitisha kuku mara 3 kwa saa nyingine kwa wiki, kwa mwezi. So it is us parents who are feeding you, see?
No, you're not feeding us. We are helping your kids to know how to cook.
Senior chief. Kuka, can see. Shule inaenda wapi?
Hiyo kuku akikuja kwa shuleni, mwalimu anachukua ile kuku mtoto. Inasomesha mtoto.
Hata kucha tunatengenezanga nazo necklace.
Hayo yote mnachukua.
Kucha zafu. Na manyoya ya kuku pia tunatengenezanga nayo pilo.
Kuna pilipili hapa ni wewe amechapa mwalimu sababu ya kutuma mtoto wako jumbani.
Ambiwa walete ng'ombe mheshimiwa. Itakuwa ni mzuri.
Watoto waambiwa walete ng'ombe.
Vitu kwa kuku mheshimiwa.
Akili, this is Akili. Hey there, friends, what time is it?
What should Achilles say to greet little lion?
Whoa!
Can you read the word?
Oh! Don't worry, Bush Baby. You can draw it again.
Akili, this is Akili. She has a secret. Tell us! When the sun goes down, Akili goes to sleep, and she enters a world where all the animals speak.
Now it's time to get back to nature. From Potsdamer Platz, I can take the S-Bahn Line 1 directly to the Dahlem district and the Botanical Gardens. The ride is just half an hour. Of course, in summer you can wander around the large outdoor grounds. Now in the cold season, 15 glass houses are more inviting. I'm starting in the tropical house. It's a balmy 22 degrees Celsius in here. Perfect.
It's so warm here. I don't want to go outside.
I'm with an expert guide. Franziska Krug is going to show me a few highlights.
This is a giant bamboo, the largest bamboo species there is.
Is that the highlight here?
One of our highlights. It almost touches the ceiling, and the tropical house is 23 meters high, so it's big. This is a palm tree known as the sea coconut. The seeds came to us from the Seychelles. It has the largest seeds in the world.
Looks like a stone.
Exactly, like a large stone. And that's what the palm grew from.
And here's a blossoming liana. I won't touch it, but can I smell it?
Sure.
Nothing. The cactus world is also fascinating. This is the golden ball cactus. It's over 100 years old.
This is the camellia house, as you can see and smell. The large blossoms like this one, or back there, smaller flowers, that's a Japanese camellia.
Are these flowers so special that they get their own glasshouse?
Yes, they draw a lot of visitors in winter. It's nice to have blossoms here already. Outside it's winter, but here it's spring. From January through to April, you have a mass of flowers.
Take a look around. It's spring in Berlin in the middle of winter.
Want to check in? We've got some hot tips for your bucket list. What are the best places to go in Europe?
The journey's the destination, right?
Follow our travel guides on YouTube. Most romantic spot? Check. Best tip for foodies? Check. As well as the coolest culture.
1,000 years old and a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
DW Travel on YouTube. Right this way.
Time for a bite to eat. I've come to Osloer Straße in the district of Wedding to a currywurst stand that is supposedly the spiciest in town.
Take a look at that. Men are allowed to cry.
Currywurst is a typical Berlin fast food that can be found on every corner. It's a bratwurst sausage with curry sauce. It's sometimes hot, but rarely really hot. And I love spicy food. Here on Osloer Straße, they offer sauces with 10 different levels of spiciness rated on the Scoville scale. At level 1, it has 11,000. At level 10, it's 7.7 million Scoville.
Oh man, this looks really mean.
Frank Spies runs the snack bar.
I always liked hot food, and now I really love it. It's quite addictive somehow. So while trying to come up with a name for the stand, I decided curry and chili fit well. And that's how it all started.
You have 10 sauces. Level 10 must be incredibly hot. Have you tried it yourself?
I've tried them all.
How was the 10?
Well, it's not for everyone. Life without the 10 is just fine.
Has there ever been a case of someone overdoing it and having a physical reaction?
Yes, it can affect your heart rate and blood pressure. The most extreme reaction is when your body cramps up, so that it's difficult to move your hands and legs. It passes after 2 or 3 minutes. It's the body's protective function telling you to stop, letting you know, I decide when that's enough.
What about customers from Mexico or India who are used to hot food? Do they laugh at your sauces?
No one laughs here. Not when they get to level 10. 5 or 6 is okay, but after that it's extreme, even for them.
I love hot food, and I'm always happy to get extra chili oil or flakes with my meal. Like you said, it's addictive. I found that out too. So, what level would you recommend for me?
I'd say start with 5. You can always add to it. But once you've got it in your mouth, that's it. Then it hits you. Best to start slowly and add more spice if it's too mild.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Enjoy.
Hello, hi.
I'll take a vegan sausage with sauce number 5.
Yep, coming up.
Yeah.
I can't go wrong with medium spice, can I? But maybe I'll risk a bit more.
So, that's got number 5 on it. And separately, I've given you some of the 8 and the 7.
Okay. 8, 7. I'm a little afraid. No. Delicious. Number 5 is all right. So I think I'll continue with 7 and 8. It's getting warmer, and that's a good thing in winter.
And now, number 8.
Yeah. Well, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, it's kind of painful. And it's getting worse right now.
That's it for me. Others can try number 9 and 10. I quit. After a short break, I head for my last stop for the day, the ice bar near Alexanderplatz. The manager is expecting me. In the bar, videos of a boat trip are projected on the walls. Definitely unusual.
They tell the story of the Hansa, a German explorer ship that was sent to the North Pole in the late 19th century and got stuck in the ice. The crew had to leave the ship. They camped out on the sea ice and drifted through the Arctic Ocean for 200 days.
True story?
Yep, all true. And we tell the story here.
So here we go.
Attention, attention, everybody! Those who signed in for the next Arctic expedition, please line up in front of me.
The year is 1869 as we board the Hansa. Before long, we are informed that our ship is trapped in the Arctic and being crushed by masses of ice. We have to jump ship, but not before putting on warm clothes. And that's when we enter the ice bar.
You can't see it, but I can feel it. It's really cold here.
Minus 10 degrees Celsius. A cool tip also for the summer. By the way, the original expedition had a happy end. The crew made it to Greenland and later returned home as heroes.
Auf die Hansa.
To the Hansa.
Auf die Hansa.
What a long day. From the tropics to the eternal ice. I had it all.
Those were my Berlin winter tips for you. I hope you had at least as much fun as I did. Well, bye-bye. See you next time.
kwa shule saa hizi?
Basi unafukuzwa na mabodi wa huko.
Unaniambia sababu naitisha kuku mara 3 kwa saa nyingine kwa wiki, kwa mwezi. So it is us parents who are feeding you. See?
No, you're not feeding us. We are helping your kids to know how to cook.
Senior chief. Hey, fuka. Can see.
Shule inaenda wapi?
Hiyo kuku akikuja kwa shuleni, mwalimu anachukua ile kuku mtoto. Inashija, inasomesha mtoto.
Hata kucha tunatengenezanga nazo necklace.
Hayo yote mnachukua.
Kucha za kuku.
Na manyoya ya kuku pia tunatengenezanga nayo pilo.
Kuna bilibili hapa ni wewe amechapa mwalimu sababu ya kutuma mtoto wako jumbani.
Ambia walete ng'ombe mheshimiwa. Itakuwa ni mzuri.
Watoto waambiwa walete ng'ombe.
Vitu kwa kuku mheshimiwa.
And the days when we were in primary school, when we used to be told, asiyefunzwa na mamaye, ufunzwa na ulimwengu, na ulimwengu mwenyewe, mafundishowe machungu.
I think you've just taken me back to mgeni ukumpokea kumbe.
There's a lot of just this shairi. Yes. They are always so dire. They are always just warning about dire consequences. Asiyefunzwa like you are saying, na mamake atafunzwa na maandamano and other things.
He used to say that was the happiest day of his life. That hiyo siku, he found a friend and a brother.
Kuna kitu nimekuwa nikitaka kukuambia for a while.
Tutasimama tisti kwa ajili ya dunia yetu, familia zetu
na marafiki wetu, sio?